talking about his great 2021 season. He got a nice buck in New York tracking. He got 2 nice Massachusetts bucks, one with a shotgun, one with a bow. I believe the buck he got in New York tracking was a muzzleloader, so he's done it in a bunch of different ways. He's a really dedicated, great hunter. He just gets after it. And he gives a lot of good info in this podcast. We start out talking a little bit of elk. We get into deer hunting. But without further ado, here he is for the second time, Jake Bennett.
All right, we got another episode of Hunt Suburbia, and we got some royalty in the building today.
Royalty.
Jake Bennett back. You were, I think, what were you, number 2 or 3? I think you were the second podcast I ever did.
Yeah, early on.
Yeah, super early on.
It was right before I left for elk 2 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah,
and you went back elk hunting this year too, right?
I did. Yeah. I'm gonna go every year till the day I die, probably, as long as I can.
What do you like so much about it? I mean, I haven't been out. I know it's a big challenge. I've never been out. I've never even really looked into elk hunting, but it's definitely something. Everyone says do it now, don't wait. Right?
Yeah. So elk, it's a 800-pound turkey. You know, that's I'm big fans of the guys for
why? Because you can call them.
Yeah, but you ever hear BRO, Born and Raised Outdoors? The guys from Hushin, big fans of them. And like I was talking with one of them, with Trevor, and called it an 800-pound turkey. He's like, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
There's an interaction with elk. I mean, the meat is unreal. Next to moose, it's probably the best tasting game meat I've ever had. But when you got an 800-pound animal screaming in your face, bugling, I mean, it's just something I think every hunter should ever probably experience.
Just watching the videos on YouTube when you hear an awesome,
it's
loud bugle,
yeah,
it's just like it sends a shiver through your spine just watching it. But imagine being there.
And so a buddy of mine, Steve Reese, actually talked to me. He goes quite a bit, and he's a phenomenal turkey hunter. You know, a lot of respect for him. And he talked to me about turkey. He goes, Jake, if you can call turkey, you can call in an elk. And so I got a few reads. I started bugling and cow calling, and I started off going with a buddy of mine who plays pro hockey. He bought a place out there and took me for my first time. I learned a lot. Learned that I was fat and out of shape. That was like 6 years ago. And that's one of the big things that spurred me kind of turned my life around. I'm a big proponent now of being fit for hunting. It makes you a better hunter. It truly does. But also at 11,000, 12,000 feet, you can't function if you're fat, really. and
is that what you mean by turning your life around?
Yeah. No, I was 253 pounds. I have a pacemaker already. I have a heart condition that required a pacemaker. I put in when I was 27. And I'd say let myself go a little bit. Come to find out, a lot of it was because my pacemaker battery had died for 6 months. I didn't know it. But I gained some weight. Kind of turned my life around. And
what year were you your heaviest?
Oh, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, so some of the footage we were just watching when you were like, "Hey, we don't." Every time we turn the video camera on his face, he's like, "Hey, you can fast forward through that." Shit.
Yeah, I gotta still have a face for radio. But it really spurred me into getting into shape because watching this, professional athlete climb up the mountain and still be out of breath, but like lap me.
Yeah.
I'd go 100 yards and be grabbing my knees, like trying to catch my breath. And it really spurred me to be a better, hunter, athlete, person, healthier. Eat better, work hard, hunt hard. It does make things easier. I mean, I drag deer a lot easier now than I used to.
Yeah.
But I was a college athlete. I was in shape. There was just like a 2 or 3 year period there where I just had my third kid and really enjoyed chips and beer.
Yep.
Which I still do. Just cider, hard alcohol, and beef jerky.
And just a little less quantity,
Yeah, everything in moderation, man. Everything in moderation.
Yeah, my wife and I have been eating a lot healthier after some shit that happened this summer, and I think I've lost. I wasn't huge, but I think I was 195 in the beginning of the summer, in the spring, and I'm 175. I mean, I've lost 20 pounds just eating healthier, drinking less beer. I still enjoy it.
Oh yeah, I switched over to ciders, low sugar ciders.
Yeah.
Vermont, man. Citizen cider, what's up?
Yep. Those are good.
It's got a lot of alcohol in it. It's got 2 grams of carbs. That's it. So
it's got sugar though.
Only 2 grams of sugar.
Yeah, the sugars. I mean, the ciders are great, but maybe it's just I got to get the low sugar.
You
stuff
get the dry. They're called dry aled ciders. They're delicious, and 2 of them get you where you want to be.
Yep.
But as far as Colorado goes, it's a different world. I know. I talked to Jim Levasseur.
Yep.
And John Petrick went for Jim went last year, I believe. That was just Jim's first year, but John and Jim made their first trips with Dane Pruz this past year, and I tried to tell them, like, you're never going to want to leave.
Yeah.
Even if you don't kill an elk, even if you don't have an interaction with an elk, it's just the aspen, the smells, the sounds, the sage, being in the middle of nowhere. And it's not just Colorado; it's everywhere. You know, out west, it's just a different world that
There's
we're not
so
used
much
to.
untamed country out
So
there.
much. I mean, you can walk and touch foot on ground that hasn't been touched by a man in 50, 60 years.
Yep.
And it's different now because of COVID. A lot of people are watching YouTube and watching a lot of people do public land bow hunting. So I talked to CPW, Colorado Parks and Wildlife, because I didn't get drawn this year for the zone I wanted to that I have history with. And he said, why? I have 2 preference points. I said, we had 70,000 more applicants this year than ever before.
Wow, 1 year?
In 1 year. And so there's a big surge for maybe the hunting public or something like that, but for public land bow hunting. And so we chose a zone 6 where a friend of mine lives, and the guy go with Maurice. And we were in elk, but every time we got an elk going, we had somebody else coming in. And we got snow. I fell and hurt myself. But got a hernia at 11,000 feet. But
I was just reading something.
But still, it was awesome.
I think you commented on it too on Facebook. Somebody wrote something about getting altitude sickness over there and
Yeah.
coughing up pink foam. And
It's a real thing.
he just didn't train for it? Or
Well, you can train for it, but everybody's body is different. There's certain things. So I'm a healthcare provider. I'm a nurse, and I go with a doctor who I work with. Just lucky enough, he's a great doctor, and we have a system down that as soon as we land in Denver, or wherever we're going, we just start drinking water. Got to stay hydrated. Advil, water. Some people, there's a certain medication you can take that thins your blood a little bit that helps you with it, oxygen. But the best thing you can do is we have a 4-hour drive out.
yeah.
Just chill the first day. Just get your body acclimated. You can go to New Hampshire, you can go to Maine and climb the highest peaks. It's still absolutely not even close to 13,000 feet.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
know?
it's half. Even the tallest peaks are not even half.
Not even close. Yeah. So
Out here.
we last year we landed, drove 2 hours, got set, and our buddy who had base camp. He's like, "Should I stay at my base camp?" He goes, "You stay in here tonight, have a drink or two. You guys gonna go out tonight?" And we had 2 hours, and Maurice's like, "We're going." I said, "I guess we're going." And he's like, "It's only 2.5 miles." Well, it was as the crow flies. It was over 4. We didn't get until like 11:30. I was dying, and your body acts differently.
And then you had to set up camp.
You had to set up camp. Well, we slept in a bivy sack at I think it was like 12.7, and that's serious altitude. And
Yeah.
you wake up the next morning, you get out of breath tying your shoes. You get out of breath going to the bathroom, like everything. And it's just something you gotta expect. And you got body by the end of we go for a week. By the 5th or 6th day, your nose is dry and bloody, because dried out. But your body acclimates to it. You feel a little better. You can't eat as much because there's no oxygen, so your diaphragm goes up. You can't breathe on a full stomach. So
You end up probably losing some weight every time you go out there.
yeah. But I would
The exercise too.
Yeah. I mean, you do it. It's a thing of love. I absolutely love it up there. I want to try New Mexico, Montana.
Yep.
Idaho. Everywhere there's elk, or I'd like to go. Like deer, I'd love to too. But I'm married with 3 kids, and I'm trying to be realistic that.
Do one trip a year if you can.
If I'm lucky, man. Yeah. And elk is it's a
Can't find elk around here, but you can find deer.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Pennsylvania.
I think they have 20 tags a year.
I couldn't
for
believe that
a million
when
applicants.
Yeah, I think Petrick told me that, and that was the first I'd heard. I was like, I just can't believe there's elk that close.
Biggest elk in the world.
Yeah.
Because they get age, like deer.
Yep.
You give them age, they get big. But yeah, no, it's I'll never stop chasing bucks, but I don't ever want to stop chasing elk either.
Yeah, Kyle Cooney was telling me too. He was on here. He's from Connecticut. He was on here last year, and he was like, "Yeah, he would quit everything if he could just hunt elk for the rest of his life. He would quit hunting deer in an instant."
Yeah, I tell you, I don't know if I could.
I don't think I could.
I don't know.
I say that now.
I couldn't give up deer camp. My dad and the boys.
There's nothing like a deer
Nothing
camp.
like a crisp morning and crunching leaves and a little bit of grunting going on.
Speaking of that,
yeah,
that's something that you and I were talking about potentially. I had an idea to go around to deer camps and do like deer camp spotlights.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's so many unique deer camps around.
and they're awesome. And that really engulfs what let's be honest. Ain't nobody hunting to eat for. You know what I mean? Nobody's hunting.
Out of necessity. There's some guys, definitely
The guys
more
that-
so in Vermont and stuff,
sure. Yeah, that live in the backwoods, but they're not also just filling their tags. They're
Yeah.
getting what they need to eat.
Yeah.
But anybody who spends $40 on a license and $800 on a rifle. And,
Yeah.
$60 on a box of shells now, and all this and that. I mean, you can get a whole lot of chicken, for that much money. We're doing it because it's the memories and the experience and the drive to hunt and the camaraderie with our friends and family.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. But yeah, I could never give that up. But that being said, I have severe envy of those guys from Born and Raised Outdoors. They hit like 3 months, like 9 or 10 states hunting elk.
Yeah, well,
That's a lot of packing out. I mean, if you've never packed an elk out, I'm not talking like, oh, we have horses, or oh, hey, I'll go get the mule at the side-by-side. I'm talking deboned, 250 pounds of meat, 2 or 3 guys hiking. First year we got one, me and Maurice, it was...
what happens if you get 2?
You're going to be there. You better bring a fork and knife.
You know what happens? Yeah.
So we got one, we packed out, I think it was like 240 pounds of meat on this big bull we got. And we were 3 miles at the crow flies from the truck, but it was like 800 foot of elevation to get out. It took us 2 days. My dad, who was 69 or 70 when we got that one, he made it back the first day. The next morning, he's like, I can't get out of bed.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, Maurice and I are going to go take care of it. And we almost killed one that morning, too, getting it out. Bears are there. It's just,
You guys end up splitting meat if one
Always.
person gets it? Yeah.
Always.
Probably the way to go.
You always got, it's a meat sharing scenario,
So, deer camp, like what about your deer camp? What are the traditions there? What's something that's unique to your deer camp? Like at my camp, growing up as a kid,
Butterscotch candies, man.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. My grandpa and my dad always call them scutterbotch. But butterscotch candies, always got a pocket full. My grandpa used to have a pocket full.
What masks your bad breath or what?
No, it just gives you something to do. Werther's Originals or whatever. We always had butterscotch candies. My grandpa had those red and black checkered pants, and every year I'd go through them. And he had the old charcoal hand warmer.
Yeah.
And then the other one would always had candies in it from the year before. So, we always sit down this year, and I got, I got my hunting crew from Massachusetts that I hang out with. Very select, like 3 guys that I trust. And New York, I got my dad and my best friend since I was like 3 or 4 or 5, and sometimes the mass guys come and hunt. But we always sit around and have a cocktail or two. Have
So
dinner.
small camp.
Small camp.
4 or 5 guys.
My parents' house, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. My buddy Brent, his whole family, he's got a cabin. They have a whole day. You go, set your gun in, put it away, and then you can have a beer and start drinking and telling stories and looking at the racks on the wall and watching hunting videos at their lodge and tell them your plans for success the next day. And, just sitting around talking, telling stories, shooting the shit, have a little tobacco, have a couple cocktails. But it's a camaraderie. And then, we sit down and the guys who hunt with me and my dad, I'm going here. Where do you want to go here? Well, let's plan this. And then, we'll, at 12 o'clock, I'll make a loop down here so you be ready. It's the plan like we're all going to drag out 140s.
Yeah.
And truth be told, we probably drag out 2 does and maybe a 2.5-year-old buck,
Well, you don't hunt Vermont much, right? Like
No.
And you never even really did, even when you were
I
there
did a
in
little
college,
bit, but
didn't
not
you?
much. I went to college at it used to be Castleton State College. They
Yeah,
just
now
changed-
what the
They
hell
just
is
changed the name for like the 3rd time.
Yeah, it was Castleton University,
So
and now
I look
it's
like the most well-educated guy because I have a diploma for every time they change their name.
You got 3 diplomas.
I got
on
like
the
3
wall.
diplomas just from that school, and then my nursing degree from somewhere
And
else.
that school's not far from my deer camp. You should come up to my camp sometime. You got an invite. We'll just
In
coordinate
Rut
it.
Vegas.
Yeah,
I
somewhere.
used to be a bouncer in Rut.
Somewhere's in that area. I know. We talked about it last time at Muck's. But
Muck and Schnabels, Phineas T. Flubberbusters used to be on the New York border. That
and
actually
Phineas T.
closed.
Yeah.
But there was Touche's, Muck and Schnabels, Jillian's is where I worked,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and there was actually
Jill's.
There used to be a dance club.
Chili's.
Chili's,
Yeah,
Chili's pub. Oh God,
Yeah, there was a dance club there called way back in the day called Bumps, and then there was
they changed it, and then oh man, there was so
Yeah, that
many.
place has
that place got a lot of bars.
yeah.
And the bar crawl there is real.
I don't know if it's true, but the thing I always heard growing up, or when I was in high school and college, is Rutland's got the most bars per capita in the country.
Yeah,
So
they also
like
say that
per,
about
per population.
Yeah, I heard that. They also say that about Oneonta, New York, where I grew
Yeah.
up. Like, you got Hartwick College and Oneonta State, which they used to call Zero State, but they, that's just got a street of like Bourbon Street full of bars. Not a single legal drinker there. But no, in Rutland, my wife went to Middlebury. I used to drive and see her, and I swear to God, one of the biggest bucks I ever seen in my life was right by Billy Ray Cyrus's house
Yep.
on Lake Balmazine.
Yep.
And that was
crossing the road.
Just stood there. Thing must have had 13, 14-inch tines. Big buck. But
you don't see very many like that right now. But
no, I wouldn't.
You would have a lot of fun though at deer camp.
Oh God, yeah.
Our camp is.
Anyway, I'm not nearly the tracker I am. I was back then than I am now. I mean, I got a lot more experience, but still, I love the big woods.
I think even my camp, I don't think you can track much there. You'd have to have everything line up perfectly because there is posted. You know, there's 4,000 acres of land that isn't posted, but it is surrounded by posted.
Yeah,
so
that sounds about right.
you don't want to, get on one, spend the whole day, and then bump them onto a posted land at the end. So.
Yeah, you need that vast wilderness,
But our camp was built in the late 50s, and we have the same exact dinner every Saturday that's been going since the 50s, down to the cheese. But although the cheese, like the same brand, the same cheese maker in town.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And it's unique and it's really freaking good. Although, you can't get it now because they just sold it to, the store. The store was sold to some dude who moved into town, and he doesn't have the same cheese, so we're desperately trying to find it. But the Saturday night dinner, it's venison, spaghetti with my dad's special meat sauce that he makes all the time. It's freaking incredible. You got the pellet cheese, Pecorino Romano pellet cheese from this was Bellomo's. It's not there anymore. And garlic bread on the side. You got a side salad. Everybody drinks a little bit of red wine. It's just the same exact dinner for over 50 years, which is cool.
I mean, we kind of the same. This year was I've been asking my mom to make, because she used to make it all the time. It's crock pot, sauerkraut, pork chops, kielbasa.
Yep.
You put it in there all day.
Camp food, dude. Camp food's the best.
So it used to be, my mom used to do Mexican. My mom one year did Mexican food the night before the open day, and that was quickly vetoed.
It was only 1 year.
When, because I remember 2 or 3 of the guys had their pants around their ankles when bucks came running by. My dad still tells that story. He's like, Jesus. He goes, I actually shot a buck with my pants around my ankles that day.
Oh, it's like that classic.
And that's back when we were just filling tags. You didn't let anything walk. They had 3 inches of horn,
Well, there's that classic picture that's in a lot of old
the guy
camps,
reaching
too.
for his gun.
Yeah, with his pants around his ankles.
But we do that, and we sit around and drink choice these days. I mean, we have, everybody's got, Bud Heavies, but we drink the old Evan Williams. My best friend Doug drinks the old Evan Williams with a little bit of Coke. I'll have it with a little bit of tonic water and sit back and watch hunting videos.
Yep. Well, there's something about, my camp's on a dirt road. It's, like I said, in the middle of 4,000 acres of state land.
Oh, yeah.
They don't, way back when they bought that little piece and built the camp there, they were selling lots, against that road. But they stopped doing that, I don't know, in like the 70s or something. So you literally can't, we're in the middle of nowhere where you can't build any more camps on the road anywhere. So we've got one of the prime spots.
Oh, that's nice.
And when you get in there, there's things like, the guys love going to muzzleloader season there. And then, a couple of years ago, they got snowed in. I mean, it was like a 2-foot snowstorm, 24 inches. Nobody's getting out of there. Which is kind of cool, right? They lost power. I
wonder how much cheese you brought.
Oh my God, they're just hanging out, cooking on the wood stove.
Oh yeah.
Frying eggs and venison on top of the wood stove and everything, and just having a blast.
Yeah. Well, so deer camp is where your buddies are. Like my buddy Brandon, he's got a great deer camp. They got like a 1840 cast iron cooking stove that's wood fed. They got they bring smoked deer shoulder and little hots, and I think somebody one year brought a salad. Then anybody got try this jerky. They got that Hunter Sharp cheese, and they do all that. It's different there. And I have in my place in Massachusetts, it's not deer camp. We have a little deer camp where my friends, my dad come visit. Everybody brings a stew or this year everybody make your own pizzas because the kids and this and that. We have we plan out dinner throughout the week, and my wife's great about it. But something about deer camp. It's different everywhere, but it's the same everywhere, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Everything's the same, but it's different.
Yeah. And everybody loves their own deer camp, and they've got so much memories and tradition built into it.
Yeah, my son's 7, and he went this year. This is the first time he ever...
To New York?
Yeah. He goes every year just because my mom, and she helps watch kids and stuff while I'm hunting. And I say watch kids, she gets to spend time with them. But... he's getting the age now. He's like, I want to go hunt. And I was able to take him this year, and I shot a doe with him, and it was just awesome. He handled it awesome. Every time I killed a buck this year, he was pumped.
Yeah. You have a lot of memories to talk about this year that we're going to get into.
It was a pretty good year.
Really good year.
Pretty good year.
But before that, we wanted to talk about a KY Jelly wrestling match and who would win between you and Neil Pendleton. That's who it is.
Well, I mean,
You think you could take Neil in a KY Jelly match? Because last night he was telling me that he would whoop you.
I mean, I'm going to say Neil will win just because I'll be just in shock of his celebrity status and awe. I'd be too busy asking for an autographed muzzleloader.
Neil's pretty good. He's the one that offered
Is
the
he?
matchup, just so you know.
I'm more of an Astroglide guy, but yeah.
Neil and I shot the Woodman yesterday.
Neil's a fit guy.
Yeah, Neil's really fit.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. I mean,
He'd be a good elk killer.
oh God, yeah. I mean, and I talked to everybody knows Steve Ciampa, kid's a killer.
Yep.
He wants to go to elk this year, and I told him, and he's dedicated. Like he just, as a hunter, you feel better. You feel more stealthy. You don't get as sweated when you get to your, and this is something I learned. I mean, heck, I used to come home and midday from a hunt, drink a beer, and then go back out, and you learn like. You live longer, you feel better when you're more fit. I'm not saying it's for everybody, but I find myself to be more comfortable. I work out 6 days a week for an hour a day, But Neil's like a fit guy, and like he goes back.
He's a personal trainer for jobs.
Drags his deer out, like he's an animal. Like, I think Steve Ciampa works out by just like doing single arm curls of full deer. He just drags deer,
Steve had a great year this year, too.
Great year. A lot of guys in the Northeast had a good year this year.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, good acorn crop, this and that, but I think
It seems like guys took leaps this year, too.
big leaps.
Yeah.
I think a lot of guys realize, if people want to shoot small bucks and be proud of them, shoot small bucks and be proud of them. Eat them. That's good for you. I think a lot of guys, I think it was Charles Alsheimer that had a thing called the hierarchy or the growth curve of a hunter, where it's, I just want to shoot a deer. Then you shoot a deer or two. And it's, I want to shoot as many deer as I can. It's either that or it's, I want to shoot a buck and then shoot any buck. Then I want to shoot as many deer as I can. And then it's, I want to shoot the oldest, most mature buck I can. And then it's, I want to teach people how to do that.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And so I think people are starting to realize, like, hey, if I let this 2-year-old go, he's going to be huge. And yeah, he'll get shot by somebody else. That's just, somebody who's in a different stage of their lifespan of a hunter. Mm-hmm. And so I do believe that's actually true. A lot of people are now just reaping the benefits of letting them pass. And then, because why would you shoot a deer that doesn't make you happy? Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So
I couldn't imagine that.
People are waiting for a deer that makes them happy. Mm-hmm. I've shot deer that I've had regret shooting before, and but it never went to waste, and I never was ashamed. It's just it's what we do is we kill.
All right, guys, Huntstock is live. We've got dates, we've got a venue, we've got a show planned that is going to be awesome. Huntstock 2022, August 12th, 13th, and 14th. And it's taking place at Wildwood Farm in Westminster, Massachusetts. The farm owner was a podcast listener. He hit me up. I went and checked out the venue, and it is perfect. It's beautiful. It's going to be an awesome summer day. We're going to get as many hunters in the Northeast together as we can to share in camaraderie and just celebrate the culture of hunting that we have in the Northeast, which I think is some of the richest hunting culture in the entire country. So we've got a lot planned for it. We've got a big sponsor and exhibitor village. We've already got 10 to 12 exhibitors confirmed to come out, and it's going to get bigger. We've got enough space in the main festival area for 70 exhibitors. I'm going to try to fill that up, and then we'll have an overflow lot for more exhibitors as well. I mean, I think it's not out of the question to get 100 exhibitors to this thing. Big brands, Northeastern brands, outfitters, taxidermists, conservation groups. We're going to have a little bit of everything. We have a main stage inside the horse barn that we're going to build that will have seminars and live podcasts happening every single hour the event is open, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're still looking to fill some of those seminar time slots, but there's going to be a lot of really big names coming to this thing. There's some that we're working on that, would be coming from even out west in the Midwest, potentially. So I'm going to work really hard on this thing over the next 9 months until event day. This is something I've been waiting to do for a long time, and I just can't wait for event day. And I want everybody to be a part of it who can. Get your tickets early. There's an early bird special price up now on event day. The prices will be different. Prices will go up sometime in April. So get in there early. We're going to cap it at 2,000 people per day. If we can get there, that'll be amazing. In year 2, we'll expand upon it. But there's going to be nothing like the first annual Huntstock event. We have Northeast Big Buck Club coming to set up a awesome trophy room that will display some of the biggest bucks ever killed in the Northeast. Pat Burns will unveil the electric buck there. I've got a couple other guys who killed some giants last year who can do their public unveiling of their bucks at Huntstock. We're going to have a really badass 3D archery course that'll have some alpine in it, some northeastern woods scenarios, and then some long-distance field shots. We walked what is going to be the course, and it couldn't be more perfect for a really awesome 3D archery course. So be on the lookout for that. And, other than that, it's just going to be a great time where hunters get to share in their camaraderie, talk about hunting, tell stories with each other, network. I want to do a gear swap as well, bring some old gear that you want to get rid of and that another hunter might be able to use. We'll have a whole section where people can just pick up free stuff, drop it off if you don't want it, and if you're walking through and you see something that you need, pick it up. Old cameras, I'm going to bring some trail cams, and I encourage anybody else, you got some laying around that still work, bring those. So we wanted to benefit everybody and just be a great experience unlike anybody has ever seen in the Northeast. Like I said, there's some great events up here in the Northeast, but I'm just thinking large, and I want to throw the biggest, baddest, best event there ever was. I'm putting everything I got behind it. Huntstock's going to be badass. Make sure to get on and get your tickets, support the podcast. We'll have some charities that will be there, and you can support the charities. And we're going to do a lot of things for some great causes. So thanks again, everybody, for your support. We'll see you at Huntstock in 2022. All right, the Springfield Sportsman Show is back after being canceled for COVID. They're back, and it's going to be one of the biggest shows that they've ever produced. There's going to be 35,000 people in attendance there. I'll be there with a Huntstock / Hunt Suburbia booth next to the Northeast Big Buck Club trophy room. So stop by and say hello there. We'll have some great deals on Huntstock tickets there. And there's going to be hundreds of other exhibitors in there, fishing and hunting. You'll get some great deals on fishing gear, hunting gear, boats, bows, whatever you want. Make sure you stop by, say hello to us, say hello to Northeast Big Buck Club, and the hundreds of other exhibitors. So it's February 24th, 25th, and 26th in Springfield, Massachusetts. A lot of buzz going on around this show. First time it's been back in a few years due to COVID. So come down, say hello, and if you want to get more information, go to OSEG Shows, OSEG shows.com, and find out some more details. But we'll see you down there at that show.
And you can go back to the Brian Visco podcast where he was talking about how he got so deep into
Soda pop.
That cycle. Yeah, soda pop.
I didn't tell Brian Visco, but about 8 years ago, I killed soda pop. Never told him. Yeah, I hit him with my truck.
Yeah.
But you can go down a rabbit hole. You can get so deep involved in wanting to kill a big buck, you can ruin your season and everybody else.
And your whole hunting career, you could ruin.
Yeah.
He quit for a while, and was he still is real big into bass fishing.
Oh yeah.
But he kind of replaced hunting, it seems like, with bass fishing for a while with a new obsession.
Yeah, anytime you have competition, or anytime there's something that can be measured or scored or put on a scale, you're going to have competition. You're going to have expectations, and you're going to have, unfortunately, challenges that people are willing to flex to win, or it's kind of sad, but that's just human race. Anytime there's something that can be scored, measured, or weighed, you're going to have people who are going to feel pressured to be the best.
And I bet you if you looked at the best killers, the best big buck killers, the best hunters in the world, I bet every single one of them has an addictive personality.
Oh, 100.
I don't think you can be that successful if you don't have an addictive personality.
Look at Pat, Sev One, man.
Oh man,
100 trail cameras. He's not just addicted to hunting.
Yeah,
he's addicted.
He's addicted to a lot of things.
He's addicted to shed hunting and getting trail cameras and this and that.
He's really good at metal detecting. He was telling me about that. I told him to come to my. So I live in the hometown of Paul Revere,
and a lot of like.
Yeah, he's obsessed with finding ancient artifacts and like something.
I think that's
like
awesome.
It's really cool.
God, I wish I had time to do that. Like that sounds awesome fun. But if I add one more thing to my hobby list, because I'm doing maple syrup again this year. I'm pretty sure my wife will just up and have me sleep outside.
Yeah,
she wouldn't be terrible. But that's awesome. Now the guy can actually, he raps pretty good. You know, he could be, but like you said, anybody who's you chase these big bucks successful, you're obsessive. You lose sleep. These guys are addicted to it. There were times where I would just be miserable because the buck I was after got killed or disappeared, and I picked the wrong stand, and he showed up at this stand, and blah 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 blah. It's to the point where it's like, why even ruin a beautiful fall day worrying about it?
Yeah.
If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. The deer gods will smile on you eventually. If not, next year's a new year.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I think part of the reason that I keep kind of not wanting to dive into turkey hunting too much or like think about elk hunting and all that stuff is because I know there's only a certain amount of obsessions you can really have in hobbies where you can spend all that time to get good at it.
Well, the thing is you can be a fairly successful turkey hunter without having to travel.
Yeah, but I think I do want to be a turkey hunter, but go out once or twice a year, and that's it.
I'll go
I don't want to
you're not
become
gonna be
obsessed
able to.
with it.
You're not going to be. Yeah, obsessed is it's kind of an impossibility with turkey hunting. I mean, put it this way, we call turkeys ditch chickens.
Yeah.
It's because they're all over the place. They're in downtown Boston Common. They're everywhere. But they're hard to kill where you can kill them legally.
Yeah.
But anybody who knows me knows I love turkey hunting. I love calling turkeys. I fill my tags last.
Yep.
Last year, I think I killed 10 in 10 days with people. I just like calling them, watching them get shot.
Yeah.
Because they're delicious. And I'm still in the stage of my deer hunter. I like shooting deer.
Yeah.
It's
It's probably the same curve.
I like processing deer. I like the whole thing.
Probably the same curve, though, with turkey hunting that you just mentioned about, like, deer hunting, right?
Yeah.
Where you got so good at it, where now you're at the stage where you'd rather teach other people and take them out and get them turkeys, right?
Oh, yeah. Once you get them hooked, once you light that candle, I mean, it's hard to blow out.
It's like the same thing Lanny Benoit told me, too. And he came to my dad's camp. We're not too far from each other in our summer lake camps. And, Lanny's an awesome dude for many reasons, but I love the fact that he's just like, my phone doesn't really work that well up here, there's not much service, so I'll just stop by when I stop by,
Yeah.
He just comes by, which is great.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. And he popped in and we're talking the day before we did the Living Legend series. We're talking about, just show up tomorrow around 5, we'll do it. And, I'm asking him about hunting and has he been going out that much? And he goes, I go out. He goes, but how many big bucks do I got to kill in my life? He goes, I get much more enjoyment now just teaching other people.
Right.
Getting other people into it and interested in it. Like, how many do I got to kill?
Right. No, I agree with that. I mean, gosh, I am so far away from being that.
Well, you've killed a freaking lot of bucks.
I have.
And how many this year?
Oh, enough.
4?
Yeah.
3, 4? I don't know.
4. Tagged out in New York, tagged out in Mass for bucks. I got some does.
So let's switch gears and talk about some of the hunts that you've been on this year.
So I mean, you and I both know the buck Pretty Boy.
Yep.
That I killed. And like I said, he wasn't the biggest or the oldest, but
was he the first buck you got this year?
No, I shot a buck with my bow in New York with my dad. I took my son for the first hunt I ever went pheasant hunting.
Let's start with that one. Let's go chronologically.
It wasn't a big buck. It was a young buck that my dad had been struggling, and we had this one spot where there was a lot of good buck sign, rubs, scrapes, big rubs and scrapes.
Well, it's another thing about going to deer camp is you don't really have to shoot the biggest buck at deer. It's just like you want to kill anything when you go to camp. I had one day to hunt deer. Yep.
Just a weekend trip with my kids and myself. And my father's kind of old school. He doesn't scout that much. I mean, he scouts, but he likes to hunt. And I was like, I'm frustrated. I've only seen one deer from the stand this year. I said, all right, well, we'll go up in there. And they plant a lot of soybeans this year. Soybeans up there. I mean, my area of New York does hold some giant bucks. The area I hunt in New York does not usually have a lot of giant bucks. And, we got to the point I hunted one morning. Then we went pheasant hunting with my son. I shot a couple pheasants, and my son was just ecstatic, loved it. He's like, I want to shoot one. I said, a couple years, My dad's like, listen, just shoot the next deer you see. I want to get one hanging, cut it up. And I'll be honest with you, the food, the venison from the area of New York, because they're eating apples, and there's cornfield, and there's soybeans. It just tastes different. It tastes great. So I said, okay. First time I ever hunted out of a saddle, too. Just tried saddles here. A buddy of mine, Sean, who I met up in Colorado, was a friend of my buddy Maurice's. Sean, he's like, you got to try a saddle hunt. So he sent me some stuff to try out.
What is it? What kind of
Trophy
brand?
line. And he sent me a platform and with a built-in bridge. And I tried it. I'm like, I feel like I'm wearing a diaper, but it's a really comfortable diaper. And I talked to a couple of my buddies, who, I talked to a bunch of guys who've saddle hunted before. And, they were like, just try it at the bridge. Mike Austin was like, just put the bridge right above your eyes and sit back, and your strong side, your left side, your weak side, you got to go over your bridge with your bow. And I hooked up my backyard and I shot a couple of times, just like shooting. I'm like, this is actually pretty cool. So I brought it to New York and I tried it. And I set up, there was some fresh scrapes and it was a foggy day. And long story short, I didn't hear a thing. I just looked to my right and there was a buck standing there in the scrape at 40 yards, and he turned and came right in front of me at 38 yards, and I shot him, center punched him. He ran out and died in a soybean field. And, my pop and I went out, told my son, my dad went out. We got some breakfast, and we went back, gave him some time to die, and we went back.
Heart? What'd you have for breakfast? You got to have the heart.
No, we had...
unless you hit him in the heart.
Well, the thing is, my dad had this problem. Every year, we're like, we need to bring a sandwich bag with us, because we toss the heart back up in there.
Yeah.
And half the time it falls out. When we're dragging. So we tossed it, we'll have heart for lunch, and we left it by accident. But... we're sitting there with this deer, and I'm like, my dad's like, geez, that's a big-bodied young buck. I'm like, yeah, he's a year and a half old buck. He's like, he's big. He's like 130 pounds. I was like, yeah, that's a big deer for his age, for his rack size. It was like a three-pointer. And my dad's sitting there, he's like, geez, your grandpa, we'd be celebrating. We'd put this thing on the hood of the car. He's like, 30 years ago, we put this deer on the hood of the car and drive around town all day, hooting and hollering and hanging it from the front tree, drinking beers. He's like, the deer, he's like, I remember when this deer used to be the talk of the town. I said, yeah, I'm still proud of it. I've killed a lot of deer. I've been blessed to shoot a lot of really nice deer, and that's a nice deer.
I thought you were gonna say you actually put it. So then you're like, all right, well, let's fucking do it. Threw it on the hood. And
no, man, not these. Listen, I've learned the hard way that avoiding conflict is the best route in life. So brought it back. Yeah. Threw a tag on it. Got in the truck. Dragged it back. We were happy. Processed it. And. Got some pheasant, brought it back, and it was my son's like, oh, you got one. He's pumped up, and that was the start of my year. I was like, I broke the ice. I got to use a saddle, which I wanted to do. In New York, I haven't been able to bow hunt in New York in like 2 years, just conflicts with work and chasing big bucks out here where I live. And
you got one at camp, dude. I mean,
I got one at the camp, so
that always feels good.
Yeah. So I'm pumped about it, and it's great. And then my exact next hunt, I killed Pretty Boy. Just
Pretty Boy is a beautiful 9-pointer.
Mainframe 8 with a 4 or 5 inch kicker on his right cheek too. That was 13 inches long.
Yeah, it's kind of like a little drop. Was it dropping? I forget.
No, just a little kicker.
Yep.
A beautiful buck. And Pat and I hunted the same piece. Well, he had permission, and he's got the same piece. I was in there, so we knew the buck. We had talked about it.
Yeah, I had a bunch of pictures of him.
Yeah, and we talked to like how old he is and how big he is, and I was like, there's a bigger buck I was chasing in there, but I just, for some reason, this buck, I'm like, I want to kill that buck. I like kicker character. I haven't killed a long time buck in a long time. And the next exact hunt out of the saddle was the backside of a nor'easter, and the place gets a lot of pressure, and I just found this one little corner.
Yeah.
Where it doesn't get a ton of pressure. I mean, when I say a little corner, it's like 100 yards by 100 yards.
Yeah.
And I ain't got a picture of him in a week. I'm like, I know he's using this piece, so I climbed up in there, and about 7:30, it was quiet because it rained the day before, and I'm like, I might go ahead and just throw a grunt out. So I reach for my bag, I grab my grunt tube, I look up, and he's standing there at 15 yards walking at me. I go, oh crap! So
it's amazing how they
I'm like,
just
shit,
appear.
I don't have to grunt now. So I put it in the bag, and it's a great thing about the saddle is the trees in front of me kind of hid me. So I grab my bow and I look around. He's now at 8 yards, hitting a licking branch, looking right at me. And I'm like, oh boy. And he's not going to go. He's like dead behind the tree, so I'd have to go weak side or strong side. And came out strong side at 5 yards. And at that time, you could hear a mouse fart 2 counties away because the wind had just stopped. It had been blowing all day, and it just stopped.
Yep.
And I drew back because you can hit my hole, and he heard it, and it just kind of quick stepped a little bit, and then hit one hole at 8 yards. And I don't even think I used my pin.
Yeah, just instinct.
Well, the pin was floating quite hard. And I was like, that hit him. And first it happened so fast. I'm like, he ran off, zigged hard left, zigged hard right, and then ran. And I lost track, and I was trying to listen. Then the wind picked up. I couldn't hear kicking or crashing or anything like that. And I literally sat there, and I was like, shit, did I just shoot my bow? Yeah, there's an arrow missing. Did that just happen?
What just happened?
So the thing is, in filming and stuff, you usually have time to get set and get rattled. And I usually don't get rattled. But this happened from the time I saw him to the time I shot him in 15 seconds. Like, boom, 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 done. And I literally I was like, wait, okay, I did just shoot my bow. Was it even him? I thought it was him, I'm pretty sure. Climb down, look at my arrow. My arrow's got some really bright pink blood all over the fletchings. And got my tag soup arrow wraps on there. I got from Dave.
Yeah, I don't know those guys yet, but I love that. I love that.
Oh, they're good dudes.
Yeah.
They're great dudes. Tag Soup's a good company. And they're white. I like white, just so you can see. So I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh, this looks like good blood. I couldn't find where he ran. I'm like, I don't know how good I hit him. I text my buddies. They're like, where'd you hit him? I'm like, I don't know.
You blacked out.
Yeah. I'm like, listen, I done when full Space Monkey, I was even shaking a little bit. I was like, what? So, like,
He was just so goddamn handsome.
Yeah, they're like, where the hell did you think you hit him? I was like, I hit him between the hips and the shoulders and below the spine. And so my buddy Brent's like, oh, he's dead then. Yeah. I'm like, what?
There's a lot of stuff in there.
It depends if he dies today or tomorrow. Who knows? I'm like, no, I feel like it was good. He's quartering away, mid-body, maybe a touch high, but I'm 21 feet up because I ranged it 7 yards from my stand. And I'm like, I'm 21 feet high. He's 8 yards out. So I hit him high, so it's good. And I was like, geez, all right. So I climb back up the stand. I sit till like 9 o'clock. I text my buddy Mike, who's in the woods. I said, I just shot Pretty Boy. He's like, is he dead? I'm like, I hope so. I don't know. So I climb down. I start looking for blood. Couldn't find any blood. I do a big loop, and I come back. I'm like, what is going on? And then I see a scuff mark. I went the wrong way. He went, one thing I always say this, and I teach people this. The biggest thing you can do after you shoot at a deer is watch the little details of where they run to. Makes tracking them a lot easier. I didn't do that. So I finally
blacked out.
Yeah, dude, I was like sniffing glue. I was just out. So I saw where he crashed through this blowdown, and then I found blood right there 5 yards from the shot, and I found more blood, but a lot of red maple leaves in there. So it wasn't easy tracking, but I could track him. I got about 75 yards away. I saw where he's digging, went under this blowdown, and about 75 yards away, I found this 5 yard by 5 yard circle where there was blood like chest and waist high thrown up on the tag alders and dirt kicked up everywhere. And I mean, we're talking piles of blood, like bubbles and everything.
Yep.
I was like, well,
Did he flop around?
he should be dead right here.
Yeah.
Where is he? And so I sat there for 5-10 minutes looking to see where, and this is where you can, as a tracker, you can get screwed up trying to find where he came out of that spin. And you got to take your time.
So you think he flopped around there?
I think he did a little death twirl,
Yep.
and then they take off a certain area, but they can still take off another 50 yards.
Yeah.
And you just got to find where they came out of that spin. So it's like 9:30. I'm like, I am sweating up. I'm getting out of here. I'm going to give him till 11, 12 o'clock, just in case, because some parts of the blood look a little livery. I'm like, I'll give him some time. I go back, grab my buddy Mike, and I talk to my buddy Ross and my buddy Frank, and Ross is like, I'll come help you. Look. I said, okay. He meets me there. We go back. It's a 0.69 mile walk to get back up in there. So not that far. I mean, if we're hunting suburbia, it's far, but this isn't suburbia. So it is, but it isn't. Anyway, we get back up in there, and I'm like, hey guys, this is where I need your help. He came out of here to spin somewhere, so don't go tracking around. Just stay on the edge of it and just look for where he came out. All right, so I stay on the rock wall, I'm taking a leak, and I hear my buddy go, I go, what? He goes, I got blood on the other side of the rock wall, back down here. He ran back down his blood trail. 20 yards, took a left. I said, how much? There's a lot of blood going out there. I said, oh, God. So I walk down, I look, I go, he's laying right there dead in the water. He goes, yeah. I said, is that a deer? He goes, that's a deer. I said, is it my buck? He goes, I don't know. It's a deer. I'm like, oh. How many dead deer you think are laying around you with fresh arrow holes in it? Can you go grab them for me? He's like, yeah. So I run down there and grab him. And it was him. It was great. And Ross, and, I call Ross a squirrel because he's just a tenacious guy. These guys are awesome. So I left, went and got my deer cart. Deer cart broke halfway through the drag. It was an all-day process. But I text you. I was like, yeah, man,
Pretty Boy's done.
Pretty Boy's done. And it was a good day. Like, the thing is we do, no matter what, even if I say, hey, I'm past that point in my life, there's always a little bit of pressure that everybody puts on themselves to be successful. And the fact I got that kind of early took the pressure off my shoulders. The rest of the season was just a breeze. Just, enjoying myself. My son was happy. Got some great pictures of the deer.
Neil was talking to me about the pressure sometimes because, he's killed some really nice deer and people are starting to expect that he's going to kill big deer all the time.
Oh, it weighs heavy on you, man.
And yeah, he was talking about it, but how it actually kind of helped him in one scenario. I forget exactly, but Neil will say it at some point, where he was, I think it was his main buck that he was tracking. And he just kind of got into his head. He was like, Neil, what the hell? You're supposed to be one of these, you're supposed to be such a great hunter. You can pull this shot off. Like, you have to kill this deer, or whatever. He kind of like pumped himself up, and got that deer because of it.
Yeah.
But so, he was asking me, he's like, do you think, those guys like, Lanny Benoit and Hal Blood and those guys who, they get so good and they get this reputation that precedes them. Are they ever thinking that in the woods? And I thought, I bet they're not. I bet they're just doing what's natural to them. Yeah. But who knows?
Well,
are they ever in the woods thinking
I'm not putting myself on the plane with any of those guys. But Neil and I talked about this, where anybody who's good at anything that they do is going to have somebody who claims that they cheat or do whatever. We talked about this in the last podcast. That anybody who's good at any sort of competitive thing is going to have haters. And Neil and I talked about that because he was talking about he was feeling the pressure of that. And
Tom Brady, Deflategate.
Yeah, you're always going to have haters. It is what it is. And you have to understand, if you want to be a little a hobbit and kill your big bucks and keep them to yourself, or you want to share it with your friends and family and share. I mean, I think big bucks are meant to be seen. They're beautiful. I love it when people show great pictures. I mean, I hate tailgate pictures with the tongue hanging out and a cigarette out of the corner of the mouth. Put your cigarette down for a second. Tuck the tongue back in, sit the deer up, take a good picture of the deer. Like, I love seeing pictures that are well done.
If you look at those old school pictures from like the 20s,
yeah, but those are different. Those are black and whites on a '56 Buick Fender.
But how great were some of those pictures?
Oh, they're awesome.
So we got to get back to like actually planning out good pictures.
I mean, John Petrick takes great pictures.
Yep.
There's guys who take awesome pictures. Brett Joy takes good pictures. I think he
takes really good pictures. Yeah.
I think he took the pictures of Neil Pennington's big buck there.
Yeah. I saw a great picture of Steve Ciampa with 3 giant does on a tree, which is awesome.
I saw a picture of Steve Ciampa with a mullet in a T-top Camaro and a tank top with 2 Bud Heavies in his pocket with a fucking Marlboro in the corner of his mouth. And that, I think, is the best picture I've ever seen. Yeah. So, and I agree with Neil. And actually, Henry Moncrief and I were talking the other day. And
he's a great hunter, too.
Great hunter. But he's like, guys who are way better hunters than I. I said, to me, what is it to being a great hunter? Or they're better than me, or they're better than that, or he's better than that person. What does that mean? What does that mean when you're talking about hunting? What does it even mean?
It's just a humble off. It's like, it's kind of, I'm
the Benoit,
humble
Lanny
enough.
Benoit. Lanny Benoit doesn't remember this, but I met him back when I was like 12 years old.
Yep.
He signed my dad's big woods buck, hardtop book that he had. And of course, he doesn't remember. That guy's met millions of people. You meet these guys who are legendary. And I mean, I say legendary. They've proven themselves for years, for decades.
Yeah, Lanny's undoubtedly a legend.
Yeah.
There's some guys.
Lanny,
who are
Hal.
just
I had the pleasure of going turkey hunting with Hal Blood, and great guy, awesome, very tolerant of my ADD. But you talk to these guys, not a single one of them, Dick Bernier, any of these guys will never say, I'm a better hunter than that guy.
Yeah.
I'm a better tracker than that guy. I'm a better shooter than that guy. What does better mean in hunting? To me, there's no, hey, this guy's better than this and that. And maybe this is a very altruistic way of me to think, but you have guys who set their goals, and you have guys that put the effort in to achieve their goals. And you have guys who don't necessarily get their goals, but then again, they don't have the time. Maybe it's their job. Maybe it's their drive. Maybe they don't have the drive to achieve their goals like you do. Does that mean they're better or worse? It's just, we're killing things. It's not like a game show. It's not, yeah, some guys are more skilled, but why are they more skilled? Because they put in the time to learn it.
It's all time.
It's all time.
Yeah.
That's why people, I was showing somebody, I was like, hey man, look at this deer. This is a nice buck. I got a picture of this buck. They're like, well, that's not your typical Jake Bennett buck. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, well, don't you usually kill like big giants? I'm like, that's a beautiful 3-year-old that's up and coming, like gorgeous buck. I still appreciate every spike horn.
And by the way, you should see the 3-pointer I killed this year.
Yeah, like I appreciate every deer I get a picture of. Like, oh man, it's gonna be a good buck someday. Or look at the loins on that one.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't want to put myself in a category. I won't be legendary. I'm not going to be Hal Blood. I'm not going to be those guys. I'm going to be a dad of 3, a husband of 1, a few deer in the wall, and a merce.
I mean, you've killed a lot of really good bucks, man.
Yeah, I've been blessed, but also I've had the drive. I've learned from some of the best. My dad, he still supports me, and my dad's taught me how to be a good outdoorsman. I keep doing it until it's not fun anymore, and I don't see that ever happening.
Yeah.
But I really hate the competition, and it's making people do dumb things. We talked about this on our last podcast, where the drive to be better, or to be thought of as being awesome, or to be sponsored by like a sock company, or anything, like to be sponsored. Like I want to be great, so I'm sponsored. I'm going to use this picture, this and that.
Darn tough. Sponsoring Jake Bennett.
Oh, hey, I'll take them. They're actually really
They're
good
fucking
socks.
great
They're
socks.
great socks. They're good in Colorado.
Yeah.
I use farm defeats too. I mean,
Vermont makes good products, good quality products.
except for bucks.
They don't produce good bucks.
Actually, man, I've seen
Well, there
some
are some
really
good
good.
ones,
That's
for
getting
sure.
better. It's getting better. Yeah, that's just my rant. I'll get off my soapbox now.
No,
It's just-
but
but you look at people like Neil Pendleton. He's driven.
Yep. Pat Burns driven.
Pat Burns driven.
Steve Ciampa
driven.
super driven.
Jim Levasseur driven. Johnny Petrick driven. Dan Jaros driven. I mean, and I'm missing
Armin
Archibald driven. You know, and there's a million guys out there that are driven, that do a good job, that are like really strong hunters.
Brandon, what's his name? Brandon Langois. I think I want to get
Brandon
him.
Langlaw.
Langlaw.
Yeah.
Yep.
But even so, like
He's a
these
great
guys,
hunter.
Great hunter, driven, having the year of his life.
Yep.
But was shooting 3-pointers a couple years ago.
Yep.
That's good.
Yep.
Doesn't mean he's a bad hunter.
Right.
He set a goal. He achieved it. And I think goals are like my goal was to kill a mature buck this year. I did. A couple times over. Got lucky. Hand of God. You know. But
We're gonna
it's
talk
always
about the rest of
it's
them,
always
too.
to do that, and then just have a great season and share it with your friends and share it with your family. Not have any arguments about how a deer drive should be done, or you know. And my boys keep me in check, and you know. Now my goal this year is I want to get my son in the woods more. I want to feed that. You know, I want to fuel that passion he obviously has. When I brought my buck home a couple weeks ago, he was like, "Yes," fist pumping. "Yeah, he's a good one, Daddy." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, he's got it." You know, that's what it means to me. That's my next goal.
Yeah. I mean, it's I finally got to take a picture with my son with a buck this year. You know, he was kind of looking at it. He's still kind of too young. He was only a year and a half, but you know, I really hope he gets into it. We're going back to like Lanny though, and we're talking about just people who are legendary at something, right?
Yep.
Lanny has that personality to be legendary at so many things.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't know if you watched the special, but he, you know, Lanny rose to the top of snowmobile racing. He was the best skeet shooter around. I mean, he's the best at anything he wants to be really good at. He's the best because he's driven to do it.
Driven, right? And it's work ethic, man. Either you're born with work ethic, you're taught work ethic, or you just don't have it. In which case, you'll be fine being mediocre. You know, and that's in any aspect in life. You know, I mean, I was competitive. I played sports in college, and
What'd you play again? Baseball?
played baseball and soccer.
Yep.
I was mediocre at both of those.
Two-sport athlete
Actually, that's
at
pretty
the
good.
Castleton University /
Solid 2.7 GPA. I bounced, drank a lot, played a lot, didn't study too much.
Let's talk about turkey hunting with Hal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to talk a little more about that.
Let's just say I'm a bit more aggressive caller than he is.
Where were you guys?
So AJ DeRosa and I were filming. It was actually it was a short. I don't know if I call it a movie. A short film called The Carbon Wing Print that we did. I don't know, years and years and years ago. And
Is that available anywhere?
Vimeo or YouTube maybe. But AJ and I were doing a couple projects together. We were actually filming some deer hunting and stuff, and he had just written his first book, the Urban Deer Complex. And he's like, "Hey, Halblood wants to come turkey hunting down here. He wants to do Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Hampshire, and Maine." So all right, we'll get.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, we'll get the Massachusetts one out of the way. It's fine." And of course, open day of turkey season was the worst, grossest, ugliest, snowing day ever. And we went up with AJ spots, and we worked some birds, but they were not fun. It was like 30-mile-an-hour winds. I called in a couple Jakes, and I mean, they had like 6-inch beers. They were big Jakes. Comes in, and I was like, "You can shoot one of those if you want to. You got 2 tags." He goes, "Yeah, you got 2 tags too if you want to shoot one." And I was like, "No, I'm good."
That's what Hal said to you?
Yeah.
So had Hal really been turkey hunting much?
Oh yeah, he's a big turkey hunter.
Yeah, all right.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah. So
he's a good caller. He's a good caller.
Yep.
He was gracious enough to let me call most of the time. That's the biggest thing I love.
Hal loves deer so much he doesn't talk about hunting anything else really.
Yeah. But I'm real good friends with William Altman.
Yeah.
Who filmed Brutus with Hal.
Yep.
And great guys. I mean, William and his dad John.
And
They're filming the main
Great
official-
photographer.
a videographer in Donnie Benson's
Yep.
work. I mean, he's
Yep.
the best out there. Anybody who wants to know anything about wildlife photography and videography is William's your guy.
Yeah.
You know, his dad John's a great hunter.
That Brutus film was so good, and all the stuff he's done with Donnie is so good.
Yeah. So William's really skilled, and people don't understand that William and his dad John they're phenomenal Maine deer hunters. They're really good guys.
Really good.
Yeah. They killed some giant, and Josh, their buddy, is basically like a brother to William. Josh killed a couple really big bucks the last 3 years. He's been hammering it. So basically, that's how I met Hal. We stayed in touch a little bit here, and they're just messaging back and forth. But man, and Hal's got it right. Like the old timers used to take a beach curl off a tree and just light it on fire, warm their hands, pat it out. You know, they sit there and have PB&J sandwich.
I saw Mark Kenyon posted. I saw Hal doing something. He was lighting the side of the tree on fire. Yeah. Yeah. I'd never seen that before until I saw Mark Kenyon post that.
Yeah. That was an old. So
just a hand
I was
warmer?
born. Yeah, I was born in the Adirondacks, and a lot of the old timers, loggers used to do up there. You'd go and they have lean-tos, and a lot of the Adirondacks Big State Park. You'd go to lean-to, you'd see a lot of beech trees with burn marks on the side of it, and guys just light the birch curls, and just warm their hand and pat it out when they're warm.
All right, if you folks are looking for a muzzleloader, you can't go wrong with a Woodman Arms muzzleloader. They're made locally, right up here in New Hampshire. They are accurate, dependable, the most accurate and dependable muzzleloader on the market. People from all over the world are buying this gun. It's extremely light. It carries great. You don't have to clean it if you use Blackhorn 209 powder. Get on to www.woodmanarms.com, check them out, or give Timmy Bolduck a call. 603-608-7218. He knows everything there is to know about those guns and will be happy to take your call and answer it. All right, you guys have probably heard me talk about Onyx in the past. I use Onyx religiously, whether I'm hunting in the big woods or I'm hunting in the suburbs. It's great. I drop waypoints in there where all my cameras are. I can preset some stand locations and, put in, this is a good stand location for a southwest wind, or this is a good stand location for an east wind. You can put in the icons to have different colors, so you can color code stuff, which I find super helpful. If I have a spot that I still need to get a camera out, I'll put the shade of my camera icon in there to white, so I know that I got to go and put a camera up in that location. Once it's there, I turn the shade to blue, so I know it's an active camera. I use it a lot. Property boundaries is great. You've got a line distance on there, so you can tell how far away you are from different structures like roads. So you make sure if you're in the suburbs, you're hunting in a legal spot. And then in the big woods, I mean, it's a security blanket for you. It is a GPS. It's a much better GPS than those little handheld things you got to put in your pocket. So you can download maps before you go out into a spot that might not have cell service. So you make sure you always have the map on your phone, whether you've got the cell service or not. It really is just an invaluable tool. And if you guys want to sign up for the first time, we've got a special code. Use code HS20 for Hunt Suburbia 20, and you guys will get 20% off Onyx Maps. So go to www.onxmaps.com and use code HS20, and you'll get 20% off your membership. You will not be disappointed. It has helped me kill deer over the last few years since I've been using it. I'm addicted, and it is just another tool in the toolbox, but a necessary one. So get on to onxmaps.com, use code HS20.
All right, I forget exactly what we were talking about. We had to
I had to go pee.
Take a little pee break.
Yeah.
I was sitting in here with Neil and Pat last winter.
Did they wrestle?
They did. It was a tie.
It was. Oh, come on.
It was a tie.
That's a lie. And
it was a stalemate.
I mean, I don't know. I'd put Pat on that one.
Well, Pat's like you said, he's addicted to a lot of things, and he's a really great writer and rapper.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's a lyricist.
He's a lyricist, and no, I don't even want to get into it, but he has some really funny lyrics about one particular subject that he always texts me about. And it's kind of goes along the lines of KY Jelly Wrestling with Neil.
Oh boy,
it's really funny.
Oh boy, you guys got to up your game from KY. There's so many better products out there.
But we were sitting here, and I think I was interviewing Neil. It was me and Neil, and then Pat came later. He came like an hour into it, and it was during a pretty fresh snowstorm. And we popped open the garage doors here when Pat came in, and I looked out there, and there was a freaking coyote track that came up the driveway.
Do you have cats?
Yeah, I had a cat. I don't have one anymore.
Because coyotes.
It's not because of the coyotes, but dude, there was a coyote track that came right up my driveway here, across
it.
the street to State Park.
Yeah,
there's big, decent sized woods over there, and the coyote came up here, and he sat right there in the corner, like you could see where he sat. He sat like right there while Neil and I were recording because they weren't there when Neil came in, and then Pat came in, and we were like, what the hell? It was crazy.
They strangely get comfortable with humans.
Yeah,
I don't like them.
But yeah, I forget what we were talking about, but I do want to go back to when you killed Pretty Boy this year, and you're talking about he did that circle that what'd you call it, death?
Yeah, the little death turn. They basically sit there and be like, all right, what's up? Oh, yeah, I can't breathe. I'm running out of blood. I'm dizzy.
But when I killed my first buck this year, that dark chocolate horn 8-pointer. Mm-hmm. And a bunch of people were giving me advice on what to do and whatnot. And I was talking with you while I was out there, and you were saying, well, is this track running or not? And I was at first, I think, I'm like, well, I don't know, it's bare ground, but you don't think about it. But you can get down and do the forensics and look. And I was like, oh yeah. And I'm looking, I'm like, oh, he's definitely running. His tracks.
I call it a hard track. A hard track is basically where he hits the ground hard, like he's scuffing, like he's running.
Yep. And they're further in between when you find the track, and you can see,
you see there'll be debris.
You're not going to see it as clearly if he's just walking.
Little splayed toe, little kicked up debris on top of the leaves.
Yep. So that helped that day a little bit. I mean, it didn't help that day because there was so much blood. I didn't need that. There was blood everywhere.
Yeah.
I followed that trail super easy. But when I killed my second buck this year, I thought back to that because even though I knew this shot was perfect, I mean, it was a perfect shot. I knew he'd be dead within 50 yards. I still go through the motion of tracking it as if I didn't know that, if I wasn't super confident. And I'm going through, and there was quite a bit of blood too, but I got to a point where I did lose blood. I knew he'd be dead within 50 yards of where I lost that blood, but I lost blood on him, and, I had to turn around and do some forensics, and I got down onto the ground and some high grass stuff, moving the grass even a little bit. Yeah. And you move the grass, and I saw, there's a hoof print, and it's angled that way, and that gave me the point. All right, I know he's going that way.
You can tell which way when the blood hits a leaf.
Yep.
Smaller drops, the bigger drops means that they're headed that way.
Yep, that's true.
I consider myself, I've tracked probably 1,000 deer. I'm a pretty good tracker, unless it's my deer, and I don't know why it is.
It's
because I go all.
It's common.
I go all snickle fritz.
Yep.
I can track. I track. My buddy he shot a buck right in the ball bag, and I tracked that thing for like 250 yards, and then I'll double lung a deer. I had to back out for 4 hours. That's just the way it is. I get all wide-eyed when it's my deer, but I track quite a few.
Yeah, you get cloudy.
Did my advice help you at all now? Because I told you.
That's what I mean. It helps.
I said I think I remember in your first buck I told you I don't think you got in the chest cavity. I think you snuck it behind the shoulder through the shoulder process there, the joint and out there. But if you keep working him and running him, he will fatigue you if you don't shot at him.
Yeah, there were a couple things that you were telling me, giving me advice on in that first one, and I just remembered was he running or walking? You make sure you look at that and actually get down, and even if there's no snow, you can get down and you can figure it out.
Yeah, everybody's like, oh man, it's a blood trail Stevie Wonder could follow. I hate that saying. But it's blood trail like crazy. Well, if he's walking and it looks like somebody's tipping it, he's walking. I mean, if you cut your leg, and it's bleeding like that, and you're walking, this can be an easy blood trail. Mm-hmm. And people are like, but there's bubbles right here. Yeah, sure. When blood drops and hits the leaf, it goes up and it aerates, and so there'll be little bubbles in it. Lung blood is different than that. Lung blood is multiple little itty-bitty bubbles. We found one spot, there's bubbles in this spot right here. Okay. If you take a straw and you blow in your chocolate milk, what happens? Bubbles. So if you're basically aerating it. So if you sit there and it's going drip, 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 it's creating bubbles. That's not lung blood. I mean, I'm not talking about a muscle hit. I'm talking about muscle hit on that. But the difference between a running blood trail and a walking blood trail is night and day.
Yeah.
If you got a really good blood trail you can walk while they're running, then that's a good sign.
Yeah, and I can't stress enough how important it is to just take your time. Just really go super slow.
Yeah, and don't go walking all around because you'll kick over leaves that have a pin drop that you would have seen.
Absolutely.
What I do is I mark, if I'm by myself, which I'm terrible at, but if I even do this with other people, if I find blood right here, I look 2-3 feet ahead of me, I don't see anything, I scuff it right there by the last blood, and I'll take another step, and I'll sit there for another 10-15 minutes in front of
you're
them.
marking it.
Yeah, mark it. And I mean, people are like, oh, bring marking with you and toilet paper in the woods with you. Man, you're just adding to more debris in the woods. Don't need to do that.
Yeah.
You know, it's just,
Yep.
don't bring more crap out of the woods, in the woods that you're not going to bring out. You know?
Yep. And that was one thing, and then you were telling me, you know, 2 schools of thought, because I had followed this buck for 400 yards, and I finally jumped him up. I didn't want to. I thought, you know, I was hoping he was going to be dead, but I sat in one spot for about an hour, giving him time, and when I got up, I took maybe 15 steps and jumped him. So I was really close to him the whole time I was sitting there. Jumped him, and but he was moving real slow, and he was groggy, and he was 60 or 70 yards away and turning his head real slow to look back at me and stuff. And that's why I told you. And you're like, well, you can go after him right now and try to get up to him. Just take your time, you know, be quiet, but move on him. Don't take your time. Get up and try to get another arrow into him. Or you're risking, you know, he could regain his strength. If it's not that great of a shot, he could go to another bed, clod up, regain his strength, and be gone. Right. So there's a few different things. I ultimately decided to back out because there were so many unhuntable pieces around this spot that I didn't want to push him anywhere. So I backed out and ended up finding him only 100 yards from there the next day. But so that was you definitely gave me some great advice that I learned from. But the second thing I wanted to go back to also from your pretty boy buck is how important like instinct shooting can be too.
Yeah.
Right. Where if you don't have the time to range, but it's just like instinct because you've gone through the repetitions of practicing at 20 and 30 yards, whatever, in your home ranges, right?
Yeah. Well, I used to shoot longbow and recurve too.
Yeah.
I mean, hats off, Tyler Moore. He's phenomenal. He's come over. He shot at my house a bunch of times. He's a great guy. I've shot hunted him before. I miss shooting longbow and recurve, but that's another whole rabbit hole. So when I lived in downtown Boston, I was shooting longbow. And the reason I went back to shooting longbow and recurve because I wanted to be okay shooting small bucks and in does. I wanted to be able to shoot whatever came through and feel accomplished about it. I realize I was wrong now, but I actually killed one of my biggest bull bucks back then with a longbow. But it teaches you anchor point, arrow trajectory, and I would keep doing it. But instinct, when I lived in Boston, I didn't have any kids, and I was actually shooting 10 yards down a hallway. I lived on Park Drive, about a block from Fenway Park, and I was shooting my longbow in my apartment building. Totally legal. But that right there, I do miss it. But if you're going to hunt with a longbow or recurve, you have to shoot like every day to be ethically accurate.
Yeah.
You got to shoot like every day. You have to have the same anchor point, repetition. And I mean, hats off. Tyler Moore is one of the best shots I've ever seen in a longbow recurve. And he knows his stuff. But I would love to get back to it. But that also helps. Instinctive shooting. If you're a good instinctive shooter, you'll be a better archer and better rifleman also.
Yeah, I don't even know if I am a good instinctive shooter, but it helped in, like, I had a good instinctive shot on that second buck that I was hunting this year. I was just creeping along the edge of a bedding area, and I look up, and he's 30 yards away and coming in. I actually don't know if he was 30. I never pulled out my rangefinder because he was close enough and walking towards me. I didn't want to make any unnecessary movements. And I'm just watching him, but looking to my left, looking to my right, saying if he goes that way, are there any open shots over there? Is there any shooting lanes over here? And I'm just trying to plan all the scenarios out as he's only about 30 yards coming towards me. And he turns one way, so then I'm like, all right, look over there. I see this one hole that can be a shooting lane, but I knew I would have to, in order to get to that hole, if he gets in it, it's not a shooting lane from where I am now. I would have to jump up onto that boulder over there, get elevated, like all that stuff I'm planning. And I would have just no time to range him at all. He ends up going that way. I jump up on the boulder. I draw back, and it was all just instinctive. I go, he's definitely not 30 yards, and he's not 20.
Yeah.
He's somewhere in between.
Pin gap.
So I pulled the pin gap up there into a spot where I was like, all right, I think he's closer to 30 than he is 20.
Oh, yeah.
And that was it. And that all happened split second. And it ended up being a perfect shot.
That happens more often than you think.
I like the pin gap.
Pin gap.
Put the pin gap, where you think you have the best chance of hitting heart or lung or both,
Yeah, basically.
Low enough that you can get.
There's one time, I think it was years and years ago, I was talking with Chris Reed, and he's like, if you're not sure, you put the 20 high and the 40 low, and you're in between there somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's the thing. And I do that at my house. I have a 90-yard archery range, and I do shoot 90 for elk. If you can hit a pie plate at 90, you can sure as shit shoot a buck at 60. I don't like 60. I know there's plenty of guys I've talked to that are like, hey, I'll shoot deer at 60 yards. I'm 80 with my bow. Man, a lot can happen between the deer and your arrow at 60 yards.
Yeah.
I like my deer 40 yards and in. Prefer them at 20 and 30. 40 yards is a long shot, man. You've seen these deer. They duck. They move. They're fast. They're twitchy. Elk aren't twitchy. Elk are basically cows. They're basically cows. Same stomach, 4-chambered stomach. And you shoot an arrow, they're like, what's that? And whack. Deer, if they hear like a grasshopper fart on a snare drum 2 miles away, they're ducking 6 inches and taking off to the next county. So, I don't know. I prefer a nice 40-yard in shot on a deer. A lot of things can happen. But you know your bow, if you shoot at certain distances, you know what your arrow drop's like.
Yeah.
I stress, everybody worries, like, the biggest fear in target panic is the fact, like, they're going to lose a $10 arrow. And I don't shoot field points. So I'm shooting a $20 arrow and insert and fletchings and all this and that, and a $10 broadhead every time I shoot. People are like, man, that's a lot of money if I ruin that arrow. Guess what? You just screwed up your shot. Just shoot the bow. Arrows are meant to be shot. They're not bullets. Once you shoot it, it's gone. I mean, if you hit your target, you can get it back and shoot it again.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of breaking an arrow or losing an arrow. Learning your bow. Shoot 10 to 80 yards. Find out what your bow does. See what the trajectory is. See what it likes for the arrow. Spend the time. And this goes back to, like, it all depends on a better hunter, a better bow hunter, better this and that. It's all what you want to put into it. Some guys don't have that time. I know guys who work 6 days a week. They can hunt 1 day a week, if that. You think they have time to run cameras and scout and do 2 miles a day scouting? No. They're lucky if they can get in the morning, afternoon, take their kids to hockey and get out before it's dark.
Yep.
And I get that. That's life. That's life. You think I work nights by choice or on accident? No, it's a choice. I pick my career and what I do on nights for a purpose.
Yeah.
So all of that aside, know your bow as best you can. It's like any rifle. Know it. You got to know how the actions, the action, the draw cycle, how to draw, where your anchor point is. It'll just make you a more proficient killer.
Yep. Yep. Let's talk about quickly the rest of your season. That after you killed Pretty Boy. So we talked about your New York buck, the camp buck 3-pointer, and then Pretty Boy, which is a beautiful. What do you think Pretty Boy ended up scoring?
139 and 5/8.
139 and 5/8.
So I'm actually texting a buddy right now. He's asking where he should go, and I'm telling him to go there. So we have a sober and a non-sober scoring on Pretty Boy. So the sober score is 139 and 5/8.
Yeah.
Got 13-inch G2, like just an awesome buck.
Yeah.
5-inch brown tone on the right. Just
really handsome.
Really handsome. Like not super massive, like not a ton of mass. 17.5-inch spread, but his beams come out and curl back in.
He could have been a really nice 3.5-year-old, right?
Yeah, I don't think he is though.
Yeah.
At 187, I mean.
Yeah, he's probably 4.5.
I thought he was 4.5, 5.5. But the weird thing is I killed him on October 28th or something like that. He had his summer coat. He didn't have any long hairs.
Yep.
It'll
make a nice mount.
Beautiful cape. Yeah. My taxidermist doesn't seem too excited about it, but whatever. It's because I think every taxidermist in New England right now is absolutely slammed. Everybody had such a good year.
So what was the next buck after that? Was it your New York tracking buck or?
Yeah.
Yep. And is that hunting out of camp too, or are you driving further north, or?
Nope, right out of camp for the most part, right down the road. Everybody set up, went their ways, and basically, long story short, we all set up in the morning. I dropped my dad off, and he was only hunting like 300-400 yards from me. And I went down this one spot, had deer chasing all morning, caught a track, followed it, and I looked up, and there were 2 does, tail tucked, shoulders up like this. Looking back, they ran and stopped, and he popped out right there. High shoulder shot, dropped him. 10 minutes into shooting, light open a day.
Yeah, that's great.
Lucky.
Yep.
But my buddy
But
Doug.
you put yourself in the right spot by tracking and getting there.
Well, so the right spot was the day before, and this is what I tell people. Because my buddy's out there, Doug, and he's like, "Man, you're lucky. You're lucky." Yeah, I am lucky, man. It is what it is. Luck. But the day before, I came into town 2 days beforehand, and they was like, "Oh, you gonna bow hunt?" No, I'm gonna meet my mom and dad. I'm gonna help them set some things up. I'm gonna go scouting. And I scouted. We put like 3 or 4 miles on that day, and it was corn, snow, 30-mile-an-hour wind, like beat your face up type of day. And that night, we're going through these spots, And my dad, there's a spot where I wanted to go. I'm like, man, I love this spot. It's basically a hedgerow. I can put a stand up, and I can cover 300 yards either direction. You know, I killed a buck there last year. I was like, love this spot. Well, we lost access to the top of this ridge. Or my brother's coming, so he was going to have to walk underneath me through to get to it. And I was like, I don't like that. So I'm scouting, looking around, looking. My dad's like, I want to sit here. I want to sit here. My buddy Doug is like, I'll sit anywhere. I don't care. I'm just drinking beer and shooting deer. So that's great. So I'm looking around, and I'm like, Dad, I want to go check this one spot out. It's this little oak. It's basically a CRP field on the right. Left is thick tag alders with a little goldenrod meadow goes down to a big oak slope. And I was following the tag alder edge like this, come around, and I saw a running track, like a hard running track, big splayed hoof running track with a lot of doe track. And it wasn't just a run track gone. It was like in a circle. He'd come in, come out, come in, come out. And it was super fresh in the snow. And I was like, so who cares? I'm like, that means there's a hot doe in the last 24 hours.
Yeah.
There. There's one thing people don't understand is does, it was like, oh, this is the buck's territory. No, man, bucks aren't territorial. Does are. Does will stay in a spot all year. That's their home. Does won't. Bucks will travel 10 miles a day to follow a deer, a doe in heat. Does are going to stay right where they are. When that doe's ready, all sorts of bucks are going to come in. And I saw, and when I shot that buck, there were 4 more bucks chasing around in there, going all over the place. My dad shot one. My dad came over, I was like, Dad, I shot a big buck. He comes on over, he shot a 7-pointer. Chasing the same doe, probably.
Yep.
And I cut that one out, he goes, fucking spike horn just went chasing by the same thing. You know, and he's like, 6-pointer came by. So we had a day. It was a great day. It took me 4 hours to get those deer out of there. It was brutal, 3.5 miles. Yeah. That deer was 214 pounds. So people are like, oh, you're lucky. I am lucky, but I did the tracking and the scouting, the bulk of it the day before. And I found that running track. And there's a difference between a chasing track and a running track. You got small tracks, big tracks, and they're not just, when deer run, they just go. This is cutting hard.
Yeah.
You can see the cutting back and forth and around. It's trying to wrangle up that doe. So my big thought was there's a hot doe in this area, in this half-mile stretch somewhere in here. I'm going to put myself in a pinch point to get...
You did your prep work and then got a little bit lucky.
Did the prep work and got very lucky.
He happened to come in.
He happened to come. I mean, literally, dude, it was 10 minutes in the shooting lane. I was like, bang, well, there's that tag.
Yep.
You know, I had a run-in with a guy on the opposite property. Wasn't too happy about it, but because I shot a big buck and he didn't. It's what it is. You know, and then that night, listen, I've got a big taxidermy bill this year. I'm not complaining about it. I'm having a great year. That night, I came home. I was exhausted. Dragged the deer out. My buddy got his first deer ever. My buddy who just started hunting this year for the first year got his first doe ever. We were all high-fiving. My dad had his buck. I had his buck. I took pictures with my son. Son's got his cowboy boots on and sweatpants. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm one of the boys. You know, yeah, you are, buddy. Got the deer hung up. And, my buddy Billy, he's from Massachusetts. He comes with me every year. And he's like, I just screwed up. I was like, what happened? He goes, I just had a huge 10-pointer at 20 yards facing me. And I waited for him to turn broadside. I picked my head up with the scope, and he took off. I was like, why didn't you shoot him facing? You're shooting a rifle. He's like, I forgot. Yeah. I was like, how big was it? He goes, it's like one of the bucks you would shoot in Massachusetts. I was like, really? He's like a 140. I'm like, oh, my God, we don't have those out here. Yeah. And then he shot a 4-pointer, which is, he's pumped. He shoots a 6.5 Creedmoor. And he shot a 4-pointer. Loved it. And had a great time. Got that deer back. We were all celebrating. What's the plan for the afternoon, guys? Oh, I'm going to go here. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go here. I'm like, well, I have a doe tag left, and I've already got 3 deer in the freezer. And, you know, my son's like, Daddy, I'm getting my stuff ready. We're going hunting, right? I was like, you want to go, buddy? He's like, yeah, I want to shoot a buck. I'm like, well, Dad doesn't have a buck tag left. I got a doe tag. He's like, that's okay. Let's go. And my dad was like, hey, why don't you, me, and him go hang out? You know, one of our ladies who gives us permission to hunt, she's like, listen, we got too many. And we do. In that area, we counted 30 does to 1 spike horn. She's like, hey, we got too many does. It's like, all right, so we'll kill some does, and she likes deer, so we donate deer to her when we kill them, and, you know, her son. And so I'm like, all right, Dad. He's like, let's go sit in the cemetery, watch over the fields. And sure enough, we get there, and there's a doe standing 40 yards from us. My son's like, Dad, shoot that one. Shoot that one. I'm like, nah, buddy, we're going to let her walk off. He's like, why not? I'm like, well, we just got here. He's like, we're deer hunting, right? I'm like, yeah, buddy, why? He goes, well, why aren't we shooting the deer? I'm like, good point. Really good point, man. But just watch her. Look at her. Look how pretty she is. She's like, yeah, that's a pretty doe. So we go and sit, and my dad's feeding my son butterscotch candies, keep him busy.
Of course.
It was 20 degrees with the wind. I mean, he did awesome. It was like 2 hours into the sit. And he's like, Dad, I'm bored. I was like, all right, Dad, I'm going to take him for a walk. My dad goes, yeah, go. I'm going to stay here and watch these 2 fields. Because the night before, there was a huge buck chasing does down there. All right, so we're walking through this little wood lot that comes out to the back. It's kind of a hidden CRP field. You get 70 yards, and he's wearing pants that they're like, whoosh, 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 whoosh.
Yeah.
hunting pants. I'm like, oh boy, he's got this. Looks like
Snow pants.
It looks like a Christmas Story. He's like this bright orange jacket.
Yeah.
So I'm like, buddy, look, there's those out in the CRP field right there. He goes, I see him. I'm like, you want me to shoot one of those? He goes, yeah. So we start creeping. I'm like, man, he's actually hunting. We get about 60 yards away, and I decided to take a lever action Winchester Model 94, open sight 30-30. I'm like, yeah, we'll bring a cowboy gun. And like, man, they're right there by my shoes. He's like, okay. I'm sitting there. I'm like, let's get behind this beech tree and peek outside. We're sneaking. All of a sudden, achoo! I'm like, oh man. He goes, sorry, Daddy. I'm like, that's okay, bud. I see whitetails. I'm like, all right, come on with me, bud. So we run to the edge of the woodlot. We go up. There's an opening in the hedgerow where the tractors go in. And I'm looking at the CRP field. I go, buddy, look, there's doe right there. He goes, shoot that one, Daddy. So I pull up, and it was like 70 yards. And you that doe took off like bounding. I'm like, pow, pow. And like, it's kind of fun shooting a lever action if you don't do it very often.
Yeah.
That thing's bounding away.
I hunted with a 32 special lever
those are
action
awesome.
for years.
Yeah, this thing's bounding away like, screw you guys. And he goes, you missed, Daddy, didn't you? I go, yeah, I did, buddy. He's like, all right. So take 2 more steps. I go, look, bud, and about 100 yards out, great big doe just standing in the field. He goes, shoot that one, Daddy. I'm like, all right. So I actually took my time, putting a beat on it. Pew, dropped her. He's like, you got her. You got her. We turn around, and here goes my dad walking. And he goes running. We got one. We got one, Poppy. And he hugs my dad, high five.
That's great.
So we were all pumped up.
Yeah.
And we go get the truck. He's like, where are we going? I'm like, we're going to get the truck. He's like, we can't leave the steaks in the field. We got to bring the steaks home with us. I'm like, steaks? Like, yeah, the steaks. That's where steaks come from, Dad. Yeah. I said, damn, this kid's smart. Yeah, he's a hunter.
Yeah.
So it was, no, we're going to load the steaks in the back of the truck, bud. We did. So, and then the next morning, I woke up with the boys, made them all breakfast, made them heart and eggs for breakfast, heart, eggs, and onions for breakfast. And they went out. And we, Billy, because Billy was tagged out, he didn't get a doe tag. We were just driving around with the truck, cutting up some deer, and just, it's just, that's the camp attitude. Yep. We're not hunting. I'm not sleeping. I'm gonna get up with you boys and make you some coffee and some eggs. You guys, good luck. Need some dragon? Let me know. We're gonna drive around, and that's deer camp, man.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trade it for anything. Let's go back to the original question.
Best.
If I could give up deer hunting to elk hunt every day, I couldn't give that up, man.
Yeah.
The smile on my kid's face. I want my son to grow up to elk hunt. I want my son to experience that. To the point where, and then, I'm not too man enough to say it, but like whenever I land in Denver, I get outside the city limits and you start seeing a sage, man, it almost makes you want to cry. It's just something. It's just an emotional response where you're like, I'm away from
everything.
COVID. I'm away from my boss. I'm away from my bills. I'm away from everything. It's me, elk, some Mountain House coffee, and shit in the woods. That's all it is. It's something you can't explain. You get that in Maine too.
Yeah,
Maine, New Hampshire.
I was gonna say, yeah.
And the Adirondacks, it's the same thing, but you're talking a different terrain. You got ponderosa pine, these giant pine trees.
Yeah.
And aspen. If you've never,
Plus, you got mountain lions and shit out there too.
big bears. I've seen some huge bears.
Yeah.
But like, if you've never seen an aspen grove, the Quakies, it's the most. And the people out there, we were talking to them like, oh, you live in Massachusetts? I'm like, yeah, like, I'm jealous. How can you be jealous of that?
Well, the
You live out
foliage and
here.
stuff.
It's like, well, you guys get yellows and oranges and bright reds. We just get yellow. I'm like, I got aspen trees tattooed on my arm.
Yeah.
Because it is yellow because of it. Like, I love, like, man.
Well, it's totally different too. Like out here, our mountains are completely blanketed by a canopy, by trees and a canopy.
Mm-hmm.
If you're watching it, it's just a complete gorgeous green in the summer and then a bunch of colors in the fall.
Yeah.
Or Colorado, you can have some bunch of open areas. You can have some rock slides and
Yeah, the high desert. And it's a desert.
Yeah.
Colorado, much of Colorado's a desert. And so it's dry. And you get some
it's a different aesthetic.
It's different. You got what they call cow's tongue out there. Sticks to your pants, won't come off. These weeds, I mean.
No ticks though, right?
No ticks.
Yeah,
no
that's
ticks,
cool.
No ticks. You got wasps the size of your hand though.
Oh.
And as soon as you kill an elk or anything and that
They're on
fat's
'em.
exposed, man, I got a white-faced hornet stung. I put my pack on that I had the meat on, and I pinched a white-faced hornet between my back and the pack, and I got lit up.
Being a nurse, you must see people going into anaphylactic shock, and that would happen to me. Me and my wife are both allergic to wasps and shit.
Just keep an EpiPen and some Pepsid around, But yeah, well, my dad had a bad reaction to bees this year, so now we got an EpiPen. We always bring an EpiPen.
Yeah.
So I mean, my dad killed an elk
Lifesaver.
tag last year. 70 years old. My dad shot
That's awesome.
An elk with his bow.
His first elk.
First elk.
That's great.
Second
Yep.
trip ever, and a lot of opportunities. It's strange that hunting means so much. If you ever sit back and think, because I mean, a lot of people don't sit and think about what makes them happy, and I do because I'm a weird cat. I get that. But killing something makes you happy. Is it the killing, Or is it everything that brings you to that point?
It's
and
all of
everything,
it.
and everything after.
It's the emotional weight of it all, too.
Yeah.
Because you are choosing to take a majestic animal that you love's life.
Yeah. One of my best friends, Brent Murdoch, used to say, "Man, I wish I could kill the biggest buck in the world, walk up to it and go, whew, and have it run off.
Yeah.
Just so I could touch its antlers, just to say, hey, I won this game." He's like, "But we can't do that."
Yeah.
So that's why it's very important to me that every time I kill, I use every bit of the animal. I'm involved. I've never, out of the hundreds of deer I've shot, I've never, and I thank my father for this, I've never brought my deer to a processor. It's okay if you do. I have no problem with that. I did something for Boston Bow a few years ago, and I want to do it again. I want to teach people how to cut up and process deer. I'm involved from the actual scouting, the hunting, the killing, the processing, the cooking, and that's pride for me.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't do that, that's okay. It's your own thing.
Again, it's all like, do you have time for it? Do you have the setup for it? Do you have the,
Yeah, like last night I processed a doe I shot this past week, and I gave a lot of that meat away to my that's what I do, is my boys who haven't had a good year, or I got some people at work that really like venison that don't hunt, and I'll cook for them.
There's something awesome about giving venison to people.
Oh, it is.
And sharing
Just seeing
that
like, man,
experience.
this tastes good.
Yeah, especially the ones who have never had it before.
Yeah.
And then after they have it that first year, it's like they look forward to like the next year where it's like, hey, come on over, we'll have a steak again.
Yeah, take a hunter safety course.
Yeah.
Get some tags.
Yeah.
Let's go,
And then, of course, you have some aunts, and I do in my family.
Yeah.
Like an aunts are like, oh, can I have some venison?
Oh,
And
sure,
it's like,
man.
no, we don't give it to her.
No.
She doesn't appreciate, she's kind of against guns.
So that's what. Well, and that's the thing. So I appreciate all types of people. My brother, who I love dearly, is he's not an anti-hunter. He just doesn't like guns.
Yeah.
It's not his thing. He used to do drives with us when we were kids, but it's just not his thing. Him and his wife they appreciate that I do it. It's organic food, but my brother also knows it's more than just getting food.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Don't you find it kind of sick?" I was like, "No, not anymore. It is what it is."
Yeah.
But when you look at it from the aspect of I'm a provider, in the experience, there's no price tag on that.
I heard somebody say, and I forget who it was, but it makes sense. You can relate hunting to the most immersive video game you could possibly be in. It's a high stakes immersive game, right? That's really what it is.
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense.
Like it's like, imagine a lot of kids these days they're just playing video games. They're on computers. They're looking forward to virtual reality, and that's coming. That's going to be a real thing, virtual reality, right? This is reality.
This is the harsh reality of what we do. And I refer to, like, when I go hunting, and it sounds really cliche, but it's true. Like, hunting is my chapel. It's my church.
Yeah.
It's my therapy.
Refreshes your soul.
Yeah. Off I go to. There's a tattoo idea I had that says, "Off I go to lose my mind and free my soul."
I like that.
Out to the woods to free my mind and to lose my mind and free my soul.
That's your idea, or did you read that somewhere?
Probably read it somewhere, but I'll say it's mine.
Slap that on.
I'll say it's mine.
Slap that on a T-shirt. I would buy
Got
it.
plenty of skin for tattoos left. But yeah, that's one of those things. But
Cool, man. We've been doing this for a while. I think you probably got to hit the road at
do have to
some
hit the
point
road.
here. So we'll wrap up, but I appreciate you coming, man. And
Not a problem.
looking forward to looking through all the
we gotta
footage
get to
you
Rhode
dropped
Island.
off.
I'm all out of buck tags and
Yeah.
Mass in New York.
Woodman sighted in now. I'm going to look into Rhode Island, and
Woodman sighted in.
maybe we'll go down and do some scouting.
If you got any Zone 11 tags, let me know.
Yeah. Nope, I got zone 10s.
Plenty of does out there too. Well, this is the first year I've shot a shotgun buck in a long time too.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that one, but
That was a nice buck. Still hunting.
beautiful buck.
We'll talk about it real quick. It was a 60-degree day.
Yep.
It had rained, the leaves softened up. I knew there was a big buck in the area. There's a couple big bucks in the area, but it gets pressured. I knew no one was going to be hunting on a 60-degree day in this one piece. So I put the wind off my left shoulder and my face and did a loop around this piece. I saw some fresh tag alder rubs, nice and orange. And I could see the scuff marks where he dug into rub, and the shavings were still spongy. So I knew it was, somewhat fresh. Can't really track in those days, in that piece, but I was, hard tracking the idea. I know where there's a railroad bed with tag alders that go along the edge, and I was just going to skirt that with the wind in my face, and got to one point, and I stopped. And I don't know if you ever had this, but sometimes, and maybe Hal can talk about this, or somebody who's better at this than I am, but you just get a feeling that something's in front of you, something's watching you.
Yeah.
It's almost like I feel like you have to poop or something, like something's watching you.
Yeah.
And you're just like, something's here.
Mm-hmm.
So I had the gun in my left hand. I switched it over into my right hand, and he jumped up about 40 yards away from me. And he started going parallel. And my dad always told me I used to practice shooting, running deer. And balloons and stuff. You shoot them as in a wheel, in a tire. And he was running across. He had kind of open ass shot, and I missed. I hit a tree. And he turned and started running away, and got a little quarter of my shot, and hit him on the second shot, about 75 yards, running away. Nice buck.
Beautiful buck.
Yeah, got long G2s, nice 8-pointer, maybe 4.5-year-old, but he'd been wounded. He had an arrow hole in him, and he was kind of rotten, festered. But so I lost the shoulders and the neck on him. But beautiful, long.
That's the one you're gonna get.
I might do a backpack mount with that one.
Mount?
Yeah, my son. So my son and I set our first trail camera this year in September, and we looked at it, and that's the first picture we got was that buck. And we were having mashed potatoes, and my son's like, I want to name him Potato. So we called him Potato.
Yeah.
But the hunter who wounded him missed him by about 4 inches. He hit him right top of the left shoulder at the right neck.
Yeah.
So
But that was buck number 4, and that was shotgun. You had
Shotgun.
one with a muzzleloader.
So I got doe with a muzzleloader.
Doe with a muzzleloader.
So I got muzzleloader, shotgun, rifle, and muzzleloader, bow, shotgun, rifle.
Yeah. And now you want a flintlock.
Yeah, my buddy Frankie, Frank the Tank's got a flintlock that I'm gonna see if I can borrow.
Yeah, well, let's I'll stay in touch about going to Rhode Island. I want to research a little more, and
New York extended their season. I still have a doe tag in New York, but to be honest, it's not. I don't need meat right now. I got plenty of meat, but
But if snow flies and stuff, you're just gonna want to try to go.
I'll be honest with you, tracking a doe can be harder than a buck. But when you go back I just like to be in the woods, and the problem is a lot of people we need some doe population control. There's a lot of does in spots, uneven population.
Yep.
So you got to do your bit and take them out if you can. I have plenty of people who want venison.
Oh, I'm gonna get a doe with that Woodman.
Yeah, like I got
right here.
My parents could use some venison, this and that, and not that, but I like to leave it there so when I come back I can cook it up and stuff. So it's been a great year. Years like this don't come along very often, and when they do, just sit back and enjoy.
Yeah.
You don't always have to go. Yeah. Sometimes it's all about sitting back and being like, man. And this fall was amazing. We had the best foliage and hung on for the longest time.
It did.
It was great.
So it was so wet.
I loved it. I mean, it was warm, but we had those great mornings. We had some amazing sunrises. This is a blessed year. I need to put it this way. In my profession, after the year I've had, I needed a year like this to kind of unwind. So it was definitely a great year, and I hope everybody else had a great year too.
I actually hunted much less this year than before, and
I don't give all my secrets away, but I hunt 1/6 of how much I scout.
Yeah.
I pick my days. I actually didn't hunt the most of October. I hunted 3 times in October in Massachusetts.
Me too. The first 3 days.
My wife was like, "You can go out hunting if you want." I was like, "No. I'm a scout. I want to save these. I want to bank these days so I can use them in November hunting." She said, "Okay." And then I ended up killing a buck October 28th. So it afforded me the ability to scout and also help get my kids off the bus, do after school activities and stuff like that. So it was great in that aspect.
That's why I haven't been on doe patrol, because after I killed my second buck, tagged out, I really haven't hunted since November 22nd.
Scouting. It's a great time to scout. Learn some new areas.
Yeah, but I've just been doing family stuff, and it feels good too to have good. two good bucks, and then just be able to relax and enjoy it. And I do, but now that I got my Woodman sighted in, and I do want to take out a couple of doe. I've got 2 doe tags.
Yeah, I got to try one of those one of these days.
Got to go do it.
I got to try one of those.
You will. You will.
Yeah.
But all right, buddy. Thanks a lot for coming, man. We're going to be putting out Jake dropped off a ton of footage today. I'm going to go through and watch some of his old footage, and we'll put some of that up on the Huntsuburbia page, and little throwbacks.
Old throwbacks, man.
But there's some great footage in there.
Back before I wore Sitka and knew what I was doing.
You don't need, the gear doesn't make you.
No,
gear
but
don't make a man.
Gear makes you comfy.
It does make you comfy,
I can tell you
confident.
that. It does make comfy and confident, but drive is what makes you.
Yep.
Work ethic.
We'll put out some of those videos, and I think people are going to enjoy them. And yeah, man, great having you over.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yep. Talk to you.
Keep at it.
Big bucks I've been dreaming often, every night till I'm in a coffin. Vermont woods to the burbs of Boston, I'm looking for a tree to get lost in. Crisp mornings, little dust in the snow, quality time, just me and my bow. Fall evenings, I know just where to go for some quality times for me and my bow. It's just me and my bow.